You're listening to AI Prism from Seoul Economic Daily.
Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix just dropped nearly 8% and almost 10% in a single trading day. SK Hynix is about to buy back and cancel 40 trillion won of its own stock, the biggest buyback in Korean corporate history. Listed companies just posted a 254% jump in first-half operating profit. And Korea's household debt broke 2,000 trillion won for the first time ever. It's Thursday, August 20th. Let's look at what this means for retail investors in Korea. The sell-off tracked a spike in long-term US Treasury yields, with the 30-year hitting 5.33%, the highest since 2007. Investors are also second-guessing the AI spending boom after Anthropic's revenue came in below Wall Street's expectations. At the same time, Korean corporate earnings and household borrowing are both hitting record highs, pulling retail investors in two directions at once. Here's what the numbers show. Samsung Electronics fell 7.82% and SK Hynix fell 9.75% on August 19th, as the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index dropped nearly 5% overnight. SK Hynix's board approved a 40.043 trillion won share buyback and cancellation, covering 3.3% of outstanding shares, with purchases running from August 20th through November 19th. KOSPI-listed companies posted a combined 388.15 trillion won in first-half operating profit, up 254.15% from a year earlier, led by Samsung and SK Hynix. Household credit rose to 2,019.8 trillion won in the second quarter, up 25.9 trillion won in 3 months, the fastest quarterly increase in nearly 5 years. The Korean won also strengthened past the 1,400 mark for the first time in about 10 months, closing at 1,397.7 won per dollar on August 19th. So what does this mean for retail investors in Korea? Earlier, we said Samsung and SK Hynix dropped nearly 8 and 10% in a single day. That's a reminder of how fast ETF and ADR exposure to Korean chipmakers can swing on U.S. rate headlines alone. The SK Hynix buyback and record sector profits suggest the underlying earnings story hasn't changed, even though the share price has. Household debt above 2,000 trillion won means the Bank of Korea's next rate decision carries extra weight for borrowing costs across the market. Watch SK Hynix's follow-up shareholder return plan around its October Q3 earnings. Watch whether the U.S. 30-year Treasury yield stabilizes below 5.3%. Watch the Bank of Korea's next policy rate decision, given accelerating household credit growth. That's today's AI Prism, Retail Investors. This episode was produced with AI assistance based on Seoul Economic Daily reporting and reviewed by a human editor. AI Prism is a Won IFRA award-winning series. We'll be back tomorrow.
You've been listening to AI Prism from Seoul Economic Daily.